Dina, I love my child more than anything. But honestly, parenting feels exhausting sometimes. My son is 3.5 years old now, and ever since he was born, I feel like I've been trying to catch up. Just when I think I've figured something out, a new challenge appears. 1 month, it's tantrums. Then it's separation anxiety. Then it's sharing. Then it's listening. Then it's emotional meltdowns. I read parenting books while I was pregnant because I was afraid of doing something wrong. But after becoming a parent, I realized that no matter how much I learn, I always seem to be one step behind. Before one problem is fully solved, another one shows up. Lately, I've become more anxious than ever. Sometimes I wonder, is my child unusually difficult? Will he eventually grow out of these problems? Should I stop worrying so much and just let things happen naturally?
First, let me tell you something important. You are not alone. What you're describing is actually how many families experience parenting. At age 2, parents are dealing with tantrums, separation anxiety, resistance, big emotions. At age 3, sharing struggles, social challenges, communication difficulties. At age 4, following rules, emotional outbursts, delays, and resistance. At ages 5 and 6, attention difficulties, self-control challenges, executive function struggles, friendship and social issues. And so many parents spend their days reminding, correcting, negotiating, explaining, repeating themselves, feeling frustrated, then feeling guilty about being frustrated. Just when one issue seems to improve, another one appears. And over time, the parent-child relationship can become strained. The reason this happens is actually quite simple. Most of us spend our time reacting. A problem appears. We try to solve it. Another problem appears. Then we solve that one too. Over time, parenting can start to feel like an endless game of whack-a-mole. One issue goes away, and another immediately pops up. The challenge is that we're often focusing on the behavior we can see, rather than the abilities underneath that behavior. Take emotional meltdowns as an example. Many parents think, my child just has a bad temper. But often that's not the real issue. Young children are still learning how to manage big emotions. They haven't yet developed the skills to recognize what they're feeling, express those feelings appropriately, tolerate frustration, calm themselves down, recover after disappointment. So when something small goes wrong, it can feel huge to them. They're not trying to be difficult, they're simply overwhelmed. Or think about a child who seems to ignore every reminder. Parents often assume, he's not listening. But many young children aren't refusing to cooperate. They're struggling with executive function skills that are still developing. Skills like shifting attention, processing instructions, following multiple steps, completing tasks independently. The more pressure they feel, the harder it becomes to use those skills. So the more we rush them, the more overwhelmed they become. Or consider a child who seems overly dependent. Many parents worry, my child is lazy. But often, the child simply hasn't had enough opportunities to develop independence. They may be missing a sense of competence, opportunities to make choices, experiences of doing things themselves, confidence built through success. As a result, they naturally wait for someone else to step in. The real problem is often not the child. The real problem is that many families get stuck treating symptoms instead of building foundations. When eating becomes a problem, we focus on eating. When behavior becomes a problem, we focus on behavior. When emotions become a problem, we focus on emotions. When listening becomes a problem, we focus on listening. It feels like we're solving problems, but often we're simply reacting to them. We're constantly chasing challenges instead of building the abilities that prevent those challenges from becoming bigger later on. Sometimes we forget that children don't arrive with these skills. Every ability has to be developed. Many of the habits and behaviors we struggle with today weren't created overnight. They were shaped slowly by daily experiences. Then parents become frustrated. Children feel misunderstood. The relationship becomes strained, and parenting becomes even harder. The strongest families aren't the families with the fewest problems. They're the families that focus on building strong foundations early. They don't spend all their energy fixing problems. They spend their energy developing abilities. They ask questions like, what skills will my child need in the future? What challenges can I prepare for today? What foundations should I help build now? Because raising a child is a lot like building a house. If the foundation is strong, the rest of the structure has something solid to stand on. But if the foundation is weak, every new challenge feels bigger and harder. Confidence, emotional resilience, independence, self-control, relationships, learning. All of these grow from the same foundation.
That makes so much sense. But Dina, what should I actually do? Every day feels busy and chaotic. Sometimes I don't even know what matters most anymore.
One of the biggest traps in parenting isn't lacking methods. It's being constantly pulled around by problems. The most effective parenting is proactive parenting. Build before problems appear. Don't wait until you're constantly trying to repair things afterward. So instead of asking, did my child cry today? Did my child listen today? Did my child behave today? Try asking, what skill is my child learning right now? Prepare the environment. Prepare your mindset. Prepare your approach. Then, allow your child to grow in stable soil. For example, when a child puts away toys, the goal isn't simply whether the toys got cleaned up. The goal is whether the child is developing responsibility, follow-through, executive function, understanding of rules, a sense of completion. When a child has an emotional meltdown, the goal isn't simply stopping the tears. The goal is whether the child is developing emotional awareness, emotional expression, emotional recovery skills, self-regulation. Those are the abilities that will serve them for life. What CORESEED hopes to offer parents is not simply a solution to today's problem. It's a framework for helping children build the abilities they'll need for years to come. Because when we focus on building core strengths, many behaviors begin to change naturally. One of the most powerful shifts a parent can make is this. Stop asking, how do I fix this problem? And start asking, what skill is my child still learning? When we focus on building abilities instead of simply correcting behavior, parenting becomes clearer, calmer, and more effective. Children don't need perfect parents. They need parents who are willing to help them grow one step at a time.
Thank you, Dina. I realize now that I need to stop chasing problems and start building foundations. I want to create an environment where my child can grow with confidence, stability, and strong life skills.
I'm so glad our conversation helped. Step by step, we build stability. And when a child's foundations are strong, their core strengths naturally grow. That's all for today's episode of Dina Parent Talk. I hope today's conversation gives you a little less anxiety and a little more clarity on your parenting journey. CORESEED, raising capable children from the inside out. I'm Dina. See you next time. For more parenting content, subscribe to the Dina Parent Talk YouTube channel. To schedule a consultation with Dina, please scan the QR code on the screen.